Coming up, let's talk about one of the most important things when it comes to running a business, especially an app business, and that's money. So let's get real on how much an average app makes and some of the biggest mistakes beginning app founders make when it comes to making that money. Stay tuned. What is up, App Nation? It is Steve P. Young, founder of appmasters.com. And let's get into this video where I'm going to really break down what it means to make a certain number of dollars in the App Store per month and what you should be really focused on before you go on and add more and more features into your app. So I'm going to break down a report that RevenueCat put together, and I'm going to link it up into the YouTube description, podcast description as well. But it's a great report about the state of subscription apps. Now, RevenueCat, here's a chart that I personally got to contribute to. So reaching $1,000 in monthly revenues is hard. Now, this is all the apps that RevenueCat is tracking themselves. And so RevenueCat, for those who aren't familiar, is sort of like a chart mogul or Google Analytics for your app subscription. So it gives you all the key performance indicators within one great dashboard. Install to trial to paid, all these rates that you should know on the back of your hand, they're all within RevenueCat. Here's the key number I want you guys to pay attention to. Only 17% of all apps reach at least $1,000 in monthly revenue. Now, personally, I felt that pain. I talked to a lot of entrepreneurs, app founders, big and tiny, and I could feel that it is hard, really hard to make money within the app space. And so knowing this number is 17% of all the apps, only 17% make $1,000 a month, you really have to get to that 1,000 benchmark. I talked to a lot of app founders and they have these astronomical goals, which is great. But at the same time, they're getting, the carriage before the horse. They want to hit all these $100,000 a month type of goals without ultimately trying to hit $1,000. Now, great. I know $1,000 for most people, you can't live off that revenue, but it is one of the first things I try to hit and then ultimately scale. So the good news is once you hit that 1,000, it becomes easier to hit 5 to ultimately hit 10. So great report. Go check it out. I'm going to break down some of the key indicators of certain apps that hit 1,000 faster. So here's some strategies, and I'll break down in part 2 of this video. So stay tuned next week when I'm going to break down some of the strategies to get to your first $1,000 a month. Go download the report if you want to see my insights. But here's the good thing. Photo and video, getting to that first 1,000 is one of the easiest categories to get into. Now, travel, pretty good, faster than average, but slows down to 5,000. But once you hit that first 1,000, it becomes a lot easier to hit 5, 10. And then once you hit 10, it becomes easier to hit 20. And once you hit 20, 50, so forth, right? Really break it down. I think ultimately people try to go from 0 to 100,000 really fast. And guess what you can do in between that? Spend a lot of money and waste a lot of money on Facebook ads, on Apple search ads, on Google ads, on TikTok ads. You can waste a lot of money. So I'm going to break down everything right now, what you should be paying attention to when you are first starting out. All right, so let's break it down. Let's bring in a whiteboard. I'm going to do something different for you guys. First thing you want to pay attention to is obviously downloads. If you don't have the downloads, the top of the funnel, you're not going to ultimately get anywhere in between, right? So just think about as a math formula or a funnel, right? If you want to get sophisticated, call it a funnel. So after you get downloads, you really want to pay attention to, and when I mean downloads so I'm going to break this down a little bit too. So downloads, this is through ASO, Facebook ads. This is going to be towards anything else you can think about. Organic, right? Like social media. Maybe you got a good presence on Instagram and so forth. So that's what you got to focus on. What channel is going to be the best and how do you get there? Now, I like Apple search ads too, because it's one of the easiest. Facebook, you need an SDK, you need all this stuff. Apple search ads, you really don't need much other than just having the app live. So you can start testing out and getting some downloads. Now, once you have at least 25 downloads a day, 15 to 25, that's all you need. We have one case study that I will link up as well, where he went from $250 a month to $1,000 a month with just 15 downloads a day. That's 15 downloads a day. All right. So once you have the downloads, I'm going to move this up here. The next thing you really want to pay attention to is the funnel. Now, on the downloads front, let me show you a real life example of an app that we're currently working with. Here's the app. We're getting about 23 downloads a day, right? Not a whole lot. Now, we ran some campaigns, and I'll share this in part 2 and 3 in a future video about how we've been able to generate this many downloads pretty cheaply as well. But we're now averaging 23 downloads a day. So not bad, right? We've been working on the ASO. We've got some pretty decent rankings for this client. But here's what I really want to pay attention to, because the client was like coming to me and saying, Steve, I want to get more downloads. I want to grow. I can't just rely on some of these campaigns that you have that can spike downloads and revenues. I want to continue growing. I'm like, well, you're not converting anybody. So if you look at the sales, it's pretty much zero. We're getting 23 downloads a day. So on average, that's going to be like 150, 140 downloads a week. And we're not getting any sales whatsoever besides a spike that we ran on the 21st, right? Here, you can see it, the 21st, we ran a spike and we did it, but we're not getting any sales. So what do you have to pay attention to? Your funnel, your onboarding, and your paywall. So this doesn't mean, I hope you guys, if you guys are stuck here, don't go running more downloads. Don't try to get more downloads, because if you do the math, you're going to, one, pay more for these downloads, and two, they're not converting. So you're not going to make any money whatsoever from these particular downloads. So what's the point of spending more money? It's important to note, especially for this indie app developer, it's runway. You have an X amount of money that you want to invest in your app. And that should be a cap, right? You shouldn't be like infinite. So he's coming to me and saying, Steve, I want to invest more money into this. And I'm like, look, you investing more money, which you can do easily, is not ultimately going to get you to generate more money in return. We have a leaky bucket right now, and pouring more on the top is only going to help you spend more money. So if you guys are in this situation, take a pause right now and really look at your funnel. So let's go back to the whiteboard real quick. Now that we have the downloads, anywhere from 15 to 25 a day, really, ultimately, you don't need that much. You really have to pay attention to your funnel. And this is your trial activation. So I'm going to put trial activation instead. And what does that mean? You got to pay attention to your onboarding. You got to pay attention to your paywall layout, and you got to pay attention to your pricing. Those are the things that are going to move the needle when it comes to the next step of the funnel. You got the downloads. Great. You got the channels that you use to get the downloads. Now you got to activate those trials. The next step, once you start, so this number right here should be a good one, should be anywhere from 5 to 10% of the downloads. If you're finally getting that, then ultimately the next thing you want to do is trial to paid. Now this isn't, I'm not too concerned for this. There's a couple of factors here. So this is the percentage of people who activate a trial and they end up paying you. So this on average should be anywhere from 30 to 40%. If you're getting anything underneath that, you really want to try a couple of things. Test your pricing. Maybe it's too high. Test your trial length. What we've typically seen is 3 days trials, especially for yearly offers, tend to have a really poor trial to paid, really high churn. So test the trial length, test pricing. And then ultimately, those are the two things that I would test. So put certain reminders in place, maybe go back to the paywall and see if you can change some certain things. But honestly, I don't think the paywall impacts it as much as pricing and trial length that have the biggest impact on this trial to paid. And that's how you think about the whole entire funnel. You don't need, most of the developers I talk to, if they want to grow, they want to consider just focusing on this. Or the worst thing too is adding more features. You don't need more features. We took an app from $1,000 a month all the way to $8,000 to $10,000 a month with no additional features. It's because we had the downloads. We changed the onboarding and paywall. So we had a pretty high trial activation rate, and we increased the pricing, test pricing. So the trial to paid was like around 35%. And we went from $1,000 a month, no additional downloads, all the way to $8,000 to $10,000 a month. And I've seen it time and time again with the clients we're working with. The purpose of this whole video is for you guys to stop thinking you need to spend more, because I'm sure if you're new to this game and you're not a marketing expert, you're going to always focus on downloads. And some of these agencies that we compete with, they want you to spend money with them. So they're like, oh, let's just run more Facebook ads. Let me try to get lower cost per installs. What's the point? If the rest of the funnel is broken, you're just going to spend more money. If you're working with an agency that's telling you just need more downloads when your trial activation sucks, then you're working at the wrong agency. And this is how I break it down. So this client wanted to spend more. I said, don't spend more. This client wanted to spend more with us. And I said, don't spend more, because I want your runway, your money in the bank to help sustain you as an entrepreneur to be as long as possible. So I told him like, hey man, you can keep paying me X amount of dollars per month, but that just means you're going to only work with me for a month or two longer, and then you're going to cut it. What if you brought down that and moved to a lower plan with us? That way I can help you longer while we fix this trial activation problem that we currently have. And obviously there's much more underneath this, that is app dependent, but on a broad level, this is what will help you increase your trial activation rate. All right, next week in our next video, we're gonna break down my favorite growth hacks to get you as quickly to $1,000 in revenue. I've been able to do it with multiple apps, sustaining it. We've been able to do it with our apps as well. I'll break down our exact process on how to do that. All right, if you haven't subscribed, what the hell are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button. And if you want to work with us to really break down your entire app funnel and make sure you don't end up wasting more of your hard-earned money, then go check out appmasters.com. All right, until next time, I'll see you on the next video.